Hello, I'm Ann Lippincott, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Women's Fund Education Forum, Youth Mental Health. The statistics I'm about to share with you underscore the critical need for the two Women's Fund grants that will be featured in this program. 1 in 4 children between the ages of 9 and 18 have or will have a diagnosable mental health disorder. The common mental health disorders for this age group include anxiety, depression, attention, and behavior disorders. 50% of all lifetime cases of mental illness begin by age 14, 50%, and 75% by age 24. Furthermore, suicide is the second leading cause of death for youth ages 15 to 24. This forum will feature 2 current Women's Fund grantees that address youth mental health: CALM and Casa Pacifica's Safe Alternatives for Treating Youth, SAFETY. As well, Suzanne Grimacy will provide an overall picture of the behavioral health services for youth in our county. Suzanne is a licensed mental health professional and serves as the Chief Quality Care and Strategy Officer for the Department of Behavioral Wellness for Santa Barbara County.
The Santa Barbara County Department of Behavioral Wellness provides youth behavioral health services countywide, both directly as well as in collaboration with numerous contracted providers. But even that is only one piece of our whole community's behavioral health services, which require the collaboration of all to meet the various levels of need of our youth and families throughout the community. When we think of a community behavioral health system, we oftentimes think of it in the image of a triangle or a pyramid. And at the base of that triangle are our universal services, our education, our prevention, and early intervention activities. As you move up the triangle, the layers start to get narrower, services begin to be more targeted, and they're aimed at higher levels of need. The top of the triangle are for those with the most complex and the greatest acuity. In order to have a balanced system, it's critical to have the base level for the early identification, prevention, and education activities. Without a balanced triangle, you start to see bulges at the various levels of services where you have inadequate resources and people don't receive the services that they need based on their level of need.
CALM is an organization that addresses prevention and early intervention, fostering social-emotional resilience for students, as well as providing support for teachers and other educational personnel who serve students in the schools and respond to their needs. CALM received a grant in the amount of $75,000 from the Women's Fund to sustain a full-time, on-site mental health clinician to serve the students, teachers, and families at Franklin Elementary School.
school therapist helps people that sometimes has hard times at school, and she also visits classes.
To make everyone calm and feel better.
Our school therapist is definitely an integral part of our school. Usually starts her day with some kind of crisis as students are coming in and families have crisis from over the weekend, or a student has school anxiety to come to school. During the middle of the day, she helps us with small group lessons in the classroom, helping socially, emotionally support the students in their classrooms. And then she also works with individuals, small groups, and parents to help make sure that students are integrated, feeling welcome at school, and are succeeding the best they can, both socially, emotionally, and academically.
You help people when they're sad, you help them be happy, and you talk about their feelings.
She helps the kids that need it most, and she also talks to adults when we need to talk to her in certain items or things. They help me to reflect, and also others that need to calm down. They need to take a breather. They need to calm. And pretty much she's helped everybody in the school site.
The COM therapist here at Cleveland School does far and beyond her job description. She's someone that we can go to at any time when we need ideas, strategies, and solutions. She's definitely our go-to person for many situations.
You can help kids learn how to solve problems. You can teach kids how to tell people with your words. And she helps me with my feelings. Whenever I'm sad, she helps me.
Your job is to make people comfortable with sharing personal things and to also make them feel comfortable with reality.
He teaches cookie breath and the bee breaths and the fingers and the smelling tree.
I think the most important thing she does is give support, supporting our students, supporting our staff throughout the entire school day and after the school day as well. Right, so her just being on campus and always working with students, being involved in different situations, just makes me more positive and thankful and grateful to know that there's more staff members around campus helping out and trying to make this school, this community, the best it can be.
When people's feelings get hurt, you help. You make their feelings get better, and then when people feel kind of sad, their feelings can get like back not sad anymore. And when you're a little mad, you can help us to calm down by cookie breathing and bee breathing and yeah, I think that's all.
Is a great support counselor here on campus that gives teachers and students an opportunity to talk about their feelings and their emotions. And she's a great listener that can hear both teachers and students and give us strategies on how to deal with our feelings and our emotions.
So what I really appreciate about the comm therapist is her and I meet every week to see how things are going with students, classes. She also helps me by supporting teachers, because sometimes teachers need a little bit of support as well and someone to talk to, depending how work is going or maybe things that are happening with them in their lives as well. So this comm therapist not only helps students, but they help teachers and myself. Well, here our school comm therapist helps students who may need some social or emotional support. Maybe they're having trouble staying focused in class, so they need some coping strategies. Maybe things at home are a little tough, and so they need some support on how to cope with those things as well and build strategies on making it a positive experience here at school and home. And sometimes people just need some support, and our comm therapist helps them with that.
She helps us with our feelings. She figures out that whenever I go to the office, I always see her. She helps us with our feelings. She helps us deal with our, and we learn that we can solve our problem.
Another critical part of a balanced community behavioral health service is having a robust crisis system in place, because as I mentioned at the top of our program, suicide is the second leading cause of death for youth, car accidents being number one. Santa Barbara County is one of the few counties in the state of California to have a designated youth crisis team. Safety. Safe Alternatives for Treating Youth is a program of Casa Pacifica. Casa Pacifica received a Women's Fund grant in the amount of $80,000 to hire an additional mobile crisis counselor to respond to youth experiencing mental health emergencies. As you will learn, the additional counselor reduces response time and makes it possible to provide longer-term counseling for youth experiencing mental health crises.
So it's known throughout our community, really throughout the globe, that there is an increase in mental health needs for our youth and a decrease in the resources and the providers. Just one example of many, in our behavioral wellness system, we receive what are called KDA referrals, and those are referrals from our child welfare system for youth that are either engaged in child welfare services or at risk for engagement and placement. We're seeing a tremendous increase in those referrals, so that tells us that there are more children entering the child welfare system now than before the pandemic. Another example, within our behavioral wellness system, our services for the highest levels of need are completely filled, and we're seeing a higher demand and level of acuity than we've ever seen before. In the same example of having a balanced triangle or balanced behavioral health system, it's also critical to have a balanced crisis system, to have a robust crisis system to meet the needs of youth and families throughout the community. We're very fortunate to have the services of safety to provide mobile crisis response for our youth and families throughout our community. Safety's ability to provide mobile crisis response to youth and families, as well as to help to educate and set up plans for crisis when it occurs, is critical to balancing our overall behavioral health system and helping to get the needs met at the right level of care.
When someone goes into crisis, they feel utterly alone, that there is no one who can understand what they are going through and there is no way out of it. And what safety can do is help get them back to what is it that you need.
When a youth's in crisis, it might be one of the scariest times in their life. They might be disclosing that they're having thoughts of suicide, for example, for the first time. And what's really important is that our team goes out and listens to their story and says, hey, I'm comfortable with you talking about this. I'm comfortable talking about suicide. I want to know what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you want for today.
One thing that's unique about safety is that we are local to the community, and while calling, if you've never had any experience, can seem very scary, a lot of youth then is comforted by the fact that it's someone like myself who's a community member and a parent and can really relate to them and, you know, is familiar with what they might be going through in just the area that they live in.
So our goal is not to write what's called a psychiatric hold. What that is, 5150, or for youth it's a 5585. It's a 72-hour hold. What happens in the process is when that hold is written, the youth is, in our county, they would be taken to an emergency room and they await placement for admittance into a psychiatric hospital. Santa Barbara County does not have psychiatric hospitals for youth, so that youth would be taken to a different county, potentially up to the Bay Area, down to San Diego. The nearest hospital is in Ventura to us. It can be incredibly traumatizing and scary, and it's a big hardship on the families to go visit the youth.
In fact, research shows it's actually contraindicated for anyone, youth and adults, to be in a psychiatric hospital against sometimes their will, which is what a psychiatric hold is. It's an involuntary hold, as it is not treatment, and they can come out faring worse than they were before they came in. So it's really important to be able to keep them in the community if that's possible.
So since the pandemic, we've seen an increase in anxiety among youth and an increase in thoughts of suicide. Back last school year in September 2020, we were getting about 1 to 2 calls from schools per week. And this school year, we've been seeing about 15 crisis calls per week from schools alone.
When someone calls the crisis line and they are told we cannot get out there for another 2 or 3 hours, the likelihood that they're going to find us a valuable resource and call us again goes down. When we can say, yes, we'll be right out there, the likelihood that they're going to call us again goes up.
Staffing is a critical issue, not just for Casa Pacifica and the safety program, but also for other agencies throughout Santa Barbara County. And what's been very helpful is we received a grant from the Women's Fund to staff an additional staff on our team. We did hire that additional staff in July, and we've seen very good results with that staff. One of them is our hold rate actually went down from about 9% to about 5.5%, which is very, very low, meaning we are able to safety plan close to 95% of crisis calls, which again is very significant.
So from my personal experience, there's been periods where actually I was the only staff in the Santa Barbara office working the crisis line. So additional staff, and especially with the one we were able to hire with the grant from the Women's Fund, has just alleviated stress, and really the team supports each other because everybody can get burnt out. So being able to turn to somebody and be like, oh, I'm still wrapping this one up on the phone, but we need to go out in person, and having that additional person to send out for that quick response time has made just all the difference.
Also, what we saw in South County specifically, because she's based in Santa Barbara, is our response time dropped by an average of 22 minutes per call. So that means that we're out face-to-face 20 minutes sooner with this additional staff.
Just knowing that there's an organization like that in the community that believes in the work that we're doing and is willing to support us as a team, it touches me personally, that it feels really good that the work is supported not just by, oh, here's this position, but we believe in you.
On behalf of Casa Pacifica, and in particular our safety program, I would like to thank the Women's Fund for their support in providing us with an extra staff, as well as all of your support over the years that has allowed safety to continue to meet the needs of the children and families in our community. We would not be where we are without your support, so thank you.
As a member of the Women's Fund, I am proud to know that my investment, our investment, goes to grants such as CALM and Casa Pacific Safety that support the mental health of youth in South Santa Barbara County. Thank you.